All right, I'll introduce myself. My name is Brian Mueller. I'm the Chief of Police for the City of Stillwater. It's Brianmueller, and I'll let everyone behind me introduce themselves as well.
Ted Kozlowski, Mayor of Stillwater.
Hunter Julian, I'm the patrol captain for the City of Stillwater.
I'm Stuart Glazier, Fire Chief for the City of Stillwater.
John Muller, the EMS Director for Lakeview Hospital.
Joe Coleman, City Administrator.
Steve Hansen, Oak Park Heights Police Chief.
Hopefully you can all see by everyone standing behind me, this is a multiple agency effort to respond to this call. So again, kind of the facts of what happened today. Today at approximately 2:20 p.m. we received a call regarding an unknown medical that immediately turned into a report of shots fired. The location just behind me, 2225 West Orleans Street. Shortly after that, that call turned really immediately into multiple calls of shots fired at that location. Prior to our arrival, the suspect shot many rounds inside and outside of the location. He actually hurt several individuals prior to our arrival, and we later learned that the individual had several extended magazines to be utilized in a handgun. And I can tell you, prior to the information that I was getting prior to arrival, was described as somewhat of an active shooter scene. This is what our officers were responding to. As our officers arrived, they were met with gunfire, and I believe there was a squad that was hit with several rounds from the suspect. Officers returned fire, incapacitating the suspect. Shortly after, we were performing life-saving measures on the individual, who was then transported to Regents Hospital, where he's pronounced dead. To give you some context behind me, it's a U-shaped apartment complex that is immediately adjacent to a residential area and immediately adjacent to several youth athletic recreational facilities that were absolutely at capacity during the time of the shooting. My heart goes out to all involved in this terrifying incident. However, as the facts are laid out before me now, incident could have been much worse due to the facts that I laid out with the numerous children and people visiting our community at these recreational facilities. Currently, it's a large-scale crime scene. We're working with the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, who has a crime scene and tells me that they will be processing this crime scene through tomorrow morning, most likely. And I appreciate all the residents and visitors' understanding as we navigate this. I know there's some inconvenience, and I have no doubt that the BCA will promptly and professionally complete their work. Lastly, I'd like to thank all the responding agencies that responded to make this a safe outcome for all the individuals that were in close proximity. Washington County Sheriff's Office has been greatly helpful, assisting with calls for service as well as assisting with the investigation of this. Oak Park Heights Police Department, Minnesota State Patrol, the Bayport Police Department, Woodbury Public Safety Department, Stillwater Fire Department, Lakeview EMS, and of course the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. With that, we can stand for any questions, or any of the individuals behind me can answer anything.
Chief, we had heard that there was a domestic incident in a second floor apartment, that your officers responding to that. Can you shed some light on that at all?
Like I said, we were responding to an unknown medical, and then it became shots fired. So I can't project right now what was happening inside of the residence, but I can tell you that, like I said, there's numerous shots fired inside and outside prior to our arrival, with several civilians that were hurt. So there were several other individuals that were hurt outside of the individual suspect.
Okay. Was anybody else shot?
No, I can tell you that I believe there's 2 or 3 other individuals that were hurt, and I can't give any other specifics on those injuries.
Okay, because we had heard one person was shot, another person was injured, but not by shooting.
I don't have any. I cannot confirm that. No, sir.
Did the suspect live at that apartment building, or were they visiting?
I do not have that information at this time.
Approximate age? Was it a juvenile or adult?
No, I believe it's an adult, but again, I don't have any other information on the suspect, as that's part of the ongoing BCA investigation.
Those other people who were injured, were they all injured by the suspect only?
That's a good question. We believe so, but we don't have, again, the specifics right now. That's still under investigation, so we're looking at what exactly transpired inside the residence prior to our arrival.
The injuries that those other individuals suffered, were they life-threatening? Are they in critical condition? Are they in the hospital tonight?
I don't have that information right now.
How many officers died?
Don't have that information. The BCA will be looking at that.
Okay. And you guys were responding to a shots fired call. Is that what the original call was?
Yep. Yep. And again, if I can just reinforce, as I'm arriving on scene, trying to get information, this was described to me as an active shooter situation. Many rounds fired before our arrival, and definitely a scary situation for the first responders and those that are around. Like I said, there were hundreds and hundreds of families and children within very close proximity, and I'm talking a block and a half of this incident. So very proud of the response of the first responders today.
When your officers engaged with the suspect, was that outside the building or inside?
Outside.
What's the status of those officers that were involved? Is it protocol for them to be on paid administrative leave?
Yeah, definitely. Right now, they're still part of the investigation with the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, and then we'll move forward with our administrative process after that.
Confirming no officers injured, but one squad car potentially hit.
Correct.
We heard reports that maybe there was a kind of a gas leak in relation to this. I know the fire was out here too. Can someone elaborate on what happened?
I'm gonna defer to Chief Glazer on that. I do not have that information.
Yes, there were gas lines that were struck, and the fire department did look and clear the building to make sure that there was no other dangers to the building, and we had XL Gas come out here and take care of that situation.
They were struck by bullets? Is that?
Yes, it was.
Just curious, can you say, was the building cleared or anything when this was all going on, or were people sheltering in place inside their apartments?
Yeah, for sure. As officers arrived, they weren't sure what was happening, other than we were receiving a large amount of calls of officers fired. And you heard me mention all the agencies that arrived to assist, and Woodbury isn't adjacent immediately to Stillwater, so that kind of speaks to the volume of kind of the terror that was happening at this time and what the officers were facing. So definitely, once we immediately addressed the threat, then our first response after that was to make sure everyone else was okay in the vicinity.
So you had guys going
door to door,
and checking door to door.
and door to door to several businesses that were surrounding the area as well. Any onlookers, anyone that was around, make sure everyone was okay.
So just checking door, not asking people to evacuate or anything like that.
No, at that
Staying
point,
in
once
the
we quickly assessed that there were no other threats to the community, and we were able to allow people to stay in place and not to shelter anywhere else. So
Do we believe this was an isolated incident or a targeted incident, or?
I would not want to speculate at all on any kind of motive or anything like that. We know that we haven't had any other reports in the area. This is, for us right now, an isolated incident, but the investigation will bring further information on that.
Chief, can you say, is this guy known to you, this suspect?
I cannot share any other information that we have on the individual. So I hope that kind of gives you guys what you need right now. I really appreciate you being here. I appreciate your patience as you're trying to navigate this on how we get the information to you. I appreciate your involvement and sharing our story. So thank you very much again. I will email to any one of you, and we'll do a press release on our social media. And Washington County Communications Center will also send out kind of print copies so you guys can have all of that. So you guys, a lot of you have my number, my email. Any further questions or comments, you can reach out to me. But I will tell you, in terms of this investigation, everything forward will go to the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, as is normal protocol.
Okay, Chief, one last quick question.
Yes.
I was talking to the mayor just before you started, just very unusual situation. Tell me your thoughts about the notion of something like this happening in your town.
Now I'm a parent. I'm a resident, and it's very scary. I'm scared for what my officers faced. I'm scared for what the residents faced. I'm proud of how they responded, but it definitely hits home. And this isn't something that happens in Stillwater. And so the officers did what they needed to do today, and I'm very proud of them. And I'm proud that it was as isolated as it was, and it didn't get as bad as it could have.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
I'm sorry. The gentleman, Stillwater Fire Chief.
Oh, Stu Glazer.
Stu Glazer.
Thank you all.
S-T-U-G-L-A-Z.
Glazer, S-E-R.
You're just guessing.
Are you just guessing?
Yeah,
Your
we'll
own fire,
check it out.
fire
We'll check
chief.
it out.
We'll
That's
find
fine.
out.
It's an S.
All right.
It's an S.
Okay. Thanks, Mayor.
Need